Hey everybody, today's video is probably going to piss a couple people off, so I am sorry in advance. What's wrong with neo-pagans and why are they so mad at me, the Strega Mystica? Well, sit tight because I'm about to spill the tea about why so many of those pop culture witches in today's social media environment have their gothic panties in a knot over my short videos and longer courses, and while none of them will ever talk about my books. See, throughout history, those who were accused of being witches and those who practiced the occult and esoterica or magic have been on the fringe. What was pejoratively labeled by religious folk as witchcraft was done with such a seriously classist and racist and misogynistic underpining that that it's just not something that was easy for many of my ancestors to identify with. The fact is, the first magical practitioners ever recorded around 37 or 3,800 years ago were male, not female. We find that in the Code of Hammurabi, but they were not referred to as witches. Authentic magical practitioners in antiquity were healers, they were seers, they were counselors, doulas, and masters of energy work. And in some cases, they were referred to as poisoners. So they were referred to by what they did, not who they were. The term witch today can be often an identity of someone who's a little more into the Gothic or pop culture, deeply Hollywood inspired, and fiction based attempts to recreate literally hundreds of different religions in ancient Greece and Rome and Etruria, Persia, and India, pretending that there was a religion at one time called paganism. And again, this idea of paganism was a construct made up by the church. It wasn't a real thing. It wasn't a real religion. And so today, it's true that many, if not most people who call themselves witches are actually practicing the traditions whose roots are not in any of the antiquity based magical practices, but were created in the minds and imaginations of people like Gerald Gardner, Doreen Valiente, Herman Slater, and others in the 40s and the 50s or later. These practices conflated the actual practice of magic and healing with the ancient religious cults and rituals that were often misrepresented by folklorists and mixed mystery sects or occultists, and by people who basically attempted to plagiarize their way through life. And yes, I'm particularly looking at you, Aleister Crowley and Gerald Gardner. But so what? Every religion on the planet was made up by someone, and many of them are plagiarized from previous religions. So why are the neo-pagans panties and such a knot about me? Because my practice has nothing to do with religion, so it's perceived as undermining their backstories. And that's not my intention at all. The real practitioners out there in the neo-pagan world, they're not in the least bit perturbed by my path because they know that their paths are every bit as authentic and valid as mine or anyone else's. See, I've lived on the fringe most of my life. I'm genderqueer. I'm a nonconformist. My people were considered too white to be black and too black to be white. And out practices, our spiritual paths wound up with us being called gypsies and strega and poisoners. So with all the bitchiness from those who are insecure about their 20th century practices, come at me. They only underscore why my ancestors found it so disturbing when some of our own family got involved in those neo-pagan movements. But I'm not that person. I think it's time for us to start building bridges. I think it's time for us to start respecting boundaries. You do you, and no, I will not continue to shroud our practices in secrecy anymore because it's the 21st century. Anyone who relates to a secular, esoteric, and healing path of justice and transformation is going to be free to reach out to me, and I'll do my best to share what has so generously been shared with me. And if you're looking for a religion, or you're somebody who seems to connect more with that whole goth vibe, I'm going to refer you to some of the most amazing modern neo-pagan teachers and authors that I know, so that you can find what you're looking for, what resonates with your heart. And I hope more and more of the leaders in our communities will do the same.